Hey guys,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Here we are. I wanted to say we're like done with S Jam, but this is another S Jam episode. But this is the last one for now. Like, if we ever do Throne of Glass, it'll be a long, long, long time from now.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk some shit today.
Yeah. So basically, this episode we're gonna talk about like the multiverse as a whole, all of her series so far we've covered. So ACOTAR and Crescent City. How we feel about the series, and then also how it was just as a personal experience to do a deep dive on these books. And then lastly, what we expect next from our girl. Um, yeah, so we will see. Also, so we felt like this episode would be good to do like a little end cap for you guys,
Little
but
nightcap.
right. But also, when you're listening to this episode, I'll be married. So it's wedding week, and therefore we have no time to do anything else.
Jesus Christ.
So that's also just the honest truth.
Unprofessional.
Okay, honestly, so before you logged in, I was thinking, and I was like, the fact that we have not even been 1 week late amid this fucking chaos going on is actually very impressive.
Yeah, we just had that 1 week when the recordings weren't working.
Yeah, and that wasn't like wedding related. That was just fucking technology. It
Yeah,
sucks. And
fuck
we were
that.
just miserable.
That was a very stressful time for
we've
sure.
we've made it through. So yeah, so when you guys are listening to this, I shall be a wife. So
Congrats.
woohoo, pop the champagne. I mean you'll be there, so
I will be there.
Sunday I'm gonna be like, go ahead, upload the episode. Gotta post an Instagram story. Like what the fuck? Okay. All right, so yeah, so I guess let's get started. That they could definitely hear because that shit was loud as fuck. So I'm not even gonna act like they couldn't hear that.
You have a lot of audio issues in your
No,
neck of the woods.
it's just because people be loving the nice
Yeah,
weather. They're
yeah,
joyriding,
yeah, yeah.
motorcycling.
Yeah, sure. That's what it is. Yeah, sure.
It is, I swear. I don't want to joyride the motorcycle, but they do. Anyways, so let's start off with I guess talking about her introducing the multiverse into her series. So how do we feel on it? How did we feel on it? How do we feel now after seeing what she's doing with it?
So I feel okay. So before we knew that the last Crescent City book was gonna tie into the multiverse, there already was a mashup with Throne of Glass and ACOTAR
Right, right.
because the one scene where Aelin is falling through the galaxies, she mentions that she saw a pregnant winged female and a winged male, and he like gave her a little push of air to like propel her into the next dimension. So, if you've read her books, you were like, oh my God, that's Throne of Glass. If you're reading it from ACOTAR's point of view, and then vice versa.
But
Because it
yeah,
was
vice
also
versa.
mentioned in ACOTAR that there was a
ACOTAR,
red
it's
star.
mentioned so like I would never. We read ACOTAR before Throne of Glass, so when that got mentioned, I didn't even think
Yeah.
anything of it. I was like, cool, there's a red star.
No, yeah. But then afterwards, knowing
Yeah.
the beef was. So, like, that was cool. And I mean, like, it was talked about. Like, when did the news come out that it was going to be a mashup? I don't
Well,
even
with how
remember.
she ended Crescent City too.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, well. Yeah. So I guess for everyone else, they kind of knew, but for us, when we first read it, we didn't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree. I think we read the end of Crescent City 2 before we read Throne of Glass. So we did ACOTAR, Crescent City, then Throne of Glass. So when
Did
we
we?
first yes, yes we did.
It seems so
Um
long ago. Can you
it does.
remember?
And so when we first read Crescent City and she had a multiverse going on, I
So
was really
really, everything.
excited.
Yeah. So then everything I just said was false.
No, but still,
I'm an
we.
unreliable source.
But it's true that we knew there was a multiverse, but like we didn't know what she was
Yeah,
going to do with it in the sense we didn't read the third Crescent City until right now.
that is very true.
So like it still applies. It just was a little bit swapped, which is fine. Um
Yeah. I felt like we had really high hopes. Like we were
yeah, like I was
so
excited.
excited.
I was
Yeah.
really excited. I was like this is amazing, and then like all the that's
So
when
was
all the
everyone else.
theorizing started, right? That's when we
Yeah.
all went like full ham psychos. I think when I was excited for the multiverse. I liked that she did it, and then when she actually did it, I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah.
Um,
Obviously, if you've listened to the past 3 episodes where we covered Crescent City 3, you know that we are not fans.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I think just to sum it up in like a little bow, I think she could have done more with it, but
yeah.
consequently now it's like as we mentioned last episode, she's starting to make Throne of Glass illusions.
Hmm.
I just worry that she's going to start breaking down the integrity of all of the series to make it this like big thing.
Hmm. Well, part of me also thinks, she does have room to not expand at all because at the end of Crescent City 3, when Bryce is talking to the Prince of Hell and she's like, I hope to never see you again and I hope to like never like open portals. So part of me is like, well, maybe she'll never interact with the cast of ACOTAR again because she's over it. She just wants to live her life. But
Yeah, I
we
mean, do we
left with some
know?
cliffhangers. So, like,
Right,
what? I don't really know where she's going to go
right.
for the next Crescent City book because, like, it's like,
Well, do we even know if there is a next one for
yeah,
sure?
I think she's slotted for at least one more Crescent City.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, so
pretty
I mean,
sure.
I just felt like she could have done more with the crossover novel and then
Hmm.
like less allusion to Throne of Glass, where I'm like nervous she was going to continue on with it. So, for example, she could have had the inner circle, like maybe some of them, like Cassian, Nesta, and Azrael. I don't know.
Hmm.
Come and fight the Asteri, and that would have been so fucking cool.
Hmm.
And then go back and then just mention like with Lydia, oh, our Fae were from this world. You know, we love to honor our heritage, but we're not going back. Or like make it very distinct that like it was a cute little commonality, a
Hmm.
cute little tie, but that we're not going to make a series of it. Like I
So,
feel like you gave me a lackluster crossover, and now I'm also scared you're going to do it again with Throne of Glass.
yeah, so do you think because she had all those allusions to Throne of Glass that that's like her breadcrumbing to let the readers know that there will be a crossover in that regard?
Like I'm hoping no, but I don't know because she made more Throne of Glass references this book than she did ACOTAR
Hmm.
references.
But maybe that was also just like a writing plot as well, in the
I
fact
hope
of
so.
like, oh, this is a little snippet of my other series. Like, and if you're a reader and you like the book, and if you do like some basic research, you'll be like, oh, this is from this other series. Like, I should read that now.
Well, it's interesting. We'll talk about this maybe briefly. Seems like we're doing Ugly Love next after Housemaid, so whatever.
Um,
But
Yay.
for example, in one of her other books, November 9th, the main couple who ends up together in Ugly Love, like they're like the brother's friends or whatever, like a very distant
Interesting.
commonality. And they mention them in November 9th, like, oh, they're pregnant. They stopped by. Like there was like a funeral or something. So like it was again, I like your point. As an author, it's fun to maybe drop those things, but then that's all that it goes. It's just fun as a reader.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm hoping that's what SJM is doing. I don't know.
Yeah. I think personally, in terms of the third book, basically the first part, because she's in Prithian, I personally would have liked to have more of a development there instead of her being, interrogated for like 50 pages and then thrown onto this 250-page long adventure through the tunnels underneath the
Yeah,
prison. Like I felt like she could have done a little bit more then. Not
agreed.
necessarily, I'm not completely heartbroken that I didn't get to see the inner circle using guns like you, but
I mean, I'm a little upset by that. That was just a
I'm
missed opportunity. Imagine Cassian and Azrael. I mean,
well, that's the thing, right? So like when she opens up the portal to ask Nesta for the mask, you know, she could have had Nesta and some of, Cass as to come through the portal, and Nesta could have used the mask herself.
Right, like it would have been just fun. And again, I think it still would have kept the integrity of ACOTAR because then they could have the next book been like, oh yeah, when you three went and helped Midgard. And that would have been it. We would have,
Hmm.
okay, fine. And if you didn't read that,
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, this is what's interesting too, is that I feel maybe slightly a reach of a parallel, but like I don't okay, so I personally don't really know anything about Marvel. I know like the bare bones, and
Yeah,
like
same.
from what I've heard from people who like really like Marvel, they say that like the integrity of the Marvel verse has been compromised since like Disney bought it out, and
Mm,
all the main stories are done. So now they're, expanding into all these other things, so it's like not
getting
as good.
muddled.
Yeah.
Right.
Um
Yeah.
which, is understandable. And I think that's the problem with, the day and age that we live in now, is that like
Mm,
things that are classics and they just catch, like they're so good. And for whatever reason, producers, writers, they think that if they keep spinning off this original story, people are going to love it just because of the name that's attached to
right.
it.
And I
But
want
like,
new good stuff.
yeah, like,
And that being said, I also think with her crossovers, similar to what you're saying, it's like sparking this idea for me. We also mentioned, like, okay, you did the exact same thing. So there was the quartz coffins, there was the black holes. You almost died. Now you got your life back. Like, you could have made it crazy and had a black hole and Bryce died and sacrificed herself for the world. Like, not only is she connecting all the worlds, but the stories in each world are very similar. And I
yeah.
think I have a problem with that.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess.
You could have independent stories, you know what I'm saying? You could have
Hmm.
had Bryce die and then Rune become king. And again, we really in her series have independent queen rulers, right? Aelin's a queen, Feyre's a
Hmm.
high lady, so she's sharing it. So I wouldn't, again, I wouldn't have minded having a king. And so having Bryce sacrifice herself and then having a king, it would have
Hmm.
been different and refreshing. I think
Yeah.
I just got so much of the same that I was like, okay, like,
But how much do
hmm.
you think of like SJM fans like would have been freaking heartbroken if like one of the major players died, like Bryce
But
or
like, you know what I'm
Rune?
saying? Oh well. I mean, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, but not everyone thinks like us, Jamie.
I guess, but
I think
like
some people would really fight us on this.
maybe. But also I think
If you have
people,
adverse feelings, let us know.
yeah, let us know. But I also think people didn't love this book and I think it's
Yeah.
maybe if they're not even wording it that way, but I think overall it's a stale vibe. She's done it before.
Yeah, it was overhyped for sure.
And so I
Um
guess that being said, right? Like I felt like reading this book and like these books whatever, I will never forget reading A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass for the first time. The
mhm.
magic I felt.
Just like ravaging the book, like you couldn't put it down.
And I don't think I felt that for Crescent City. That being said, the first book I did, and I think it was because she did something different with the first book. She had
Hmm.
the best friend die. We were mourning someone. We had this like modern adventure. And I
Hmm.
think it was new and refreshing. And I actually almost liked it sometimes better than the other two books at points.
And that was the thing too. It was like, she has this thing of killing people off and bringing them back to life, and then like the first book in Crescent City, you're 20 pages in and this whole pack dies and you're like, holy
But I
shit.
think those were the emotional parts. Like I cried probably more the first Crescent City book than some of the ACOTAR books, right? Because,
Hmm.
Danica helped her make the drop and like she
Hmm.
wasn't alone and she was mourning her and like, um Lehaba like sacrificed herself and she was free. Like
Hmm.
very like pivotal, heart-wrenching moments, but like that's what made me like the book because I did feel an emotional response.
Yeah.
Um, and then I felt like book two and three didn't give that to me. The ending was
Hmm.
sure like a, oh shit. But
Yeah.
so I guess that being said, I think my opinion changed the more she wrote. And so I guess, how do we feel about ACOTAR versus Crescent City? We can obviously touch on Throne of Glass, but we haven't covered it. And
Yeah.
so out of these two, like, what do we think? What do we like more? What do we like less? I don't know.
I mean, at the moment I want to say I like Akatar more, but it was funny because when we were rereading I was like, wow, I like Crescent City so much more than Akatar right
That's
now.
what I was just thinking. That's why I'm like, not sure. And I don't know if it was just maybe just like an influx of
Yeah, it was a
like
lot.
saturation.
Yeah. Yeah, and then don't forget, like when we had all those technology issues, we had to re-record like the same episode like 3 times.
Right. I think
And I
that
think
added.
that, yeah, I think that really fucking just ruined things for us, truly.
Yeah, but I think like when I think of the series overall, and I guess here's my thing with SJM. I don't think that everything she writes has to like sum up into this like multiverse plot. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like
Yeah,
to me, the first three ACOTAR books, right? Like the main trilogy, if you will, it was just about magic and war, and they were fucking amazing.
yeah,
There was no world jumping, there was no anything. So like why can't you just have a fun, you know, fae magic world? I think she's getting really into like the sciencey multiverse thing,
yeah.
but like I don't need it, I don't think.
Well, I wonder if she, as a writer, feels like pressured now to incorporate, the multiverse like in her upcoming books because she's opened this door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would like ride hard. Like I think the general consensus would be like people would be pissed off if it didn't all combine in the end.
I guess, but I think for me too, right? Like after we theorized and it was all fun and games for this, and then she confirmed some of the speculation, right? With like the Asteri are the Daglin and like yada
Yeah.
yada yada.
Hmm.
But even that, like she briefly mentioned, the mountain, like Ramiel,
Hmm.
but like not as much as I wanted her to.
Hmm.
So again, I feel like she did combine it, but she didn't even go as immersive as I wanted her to. And now is like starting to be like, ooh, throne of glass. So it's like you didn't even do the first one well. And now you're already like, ooh,
Yeah.
let's keep going. And it's kind of like, I don't know, man.
Maybe she's just leaving the door open in case she wants to do that.
Yeah, but I just think that to me is like a money like plan.
It's a click
Whereas,
thing.
which is fine, I get it, but also like write good books and then you'll make money. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's very simple, right? The math is mathing there.
yeah, like I again, like why not make it crazy?
Is she gonna be a sellout?
Like that's what I'm kind of getting the vibe, honestly. Like I feel like, right?
Wait, can we pause real quick?
Yes. Okay, and we're back. Hallie had to pause because her friend called her because she got engaged, so that was exciting.
Congrats, Nicole.
Like I was sitting here not knowing this person, being extremely awkward, and I was like, "Is someone engaged?" Whatever.
Oh my god.
um, so therefore, I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Neither
me
does
neither.
Hallie. It's fine. We're gonna just keep going. And so basically, I don't know. I think the general overview of what we were saying was the fact that I'm just not sure. I think again, I really liked ACOTAR. I think she's going to sciency like multiverse with all the books. When again, it could just be a fun fantasy book. Like for example, it's a fantasy book, right? So you can do whatever
Yeah.
you want.
No.
So like, Fourth Wing. It doesn't have to relate to this bigger thing. It could just be a fun fantasy story.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy is that like sometimes on my Instagram, like on my For You page, because my For You page is all literally fucking book art, like fan art,
Right.
and like book theories and shit like that. Um, and like every once in a while, like like when you watch like a reel or whatever, and then it'll like pop up to a next one, and
Mm-hmm.
like so I've been getting a lot of Fourth Wing ones, and like from like Zayden quotes, and I'm like, wow, just no one trumps him. Like he is just the epitome of
Like I feel,
amazing.
yeah, I feel like, and that's what upsets me. So like in this whole like ACOTAR versus Crescent City discussion, I feel like almost by making it all multiversy,
Hmm.
I'm like liking ACOTAR less. So it's like frustrating because yeah, like I'm almost like give me Fourth Wing again. Like
Hmm.
I can't wait.
You know what I think now that I wasn't thinking before, but like now I'm thinking about it is like in Sarah J. Maas's books, like it's very clear who the villain is and who the good people are. And all the good people are so righteous and so mighty and they all want to do good. Like they don't ever really show like the bad streaks, Like what if like Like I think like, Bryce is so like valiant and wanting to fight for the humans and like free all the Fae from, their long lineages and like be this, fucking Roman emperor fucking trailblazing through with her Trojan horse. But like what if she wasn't like I think it would have been a cool twist if like we had a female main character who like wasn't really righteous from the get, you know what I mean? Cuz same thing with Feyre too.
Right. Well, and that's what I guess I'm
And
trying.
Aelin, same
Well, and
thing.
that's what I'm trying to say is that not only is her worlds crossing over, like they're all related to this multiverse, they're on top of each other, they're all in the same universe.
Mhm.
Not only that, but again, she's writing the same like character traits and all of that for
Yeah.
all the characters. Again, like you just mentioned, women are all very righteous and valiant and beating oppression. That's fine. But why can't we have like a villain
Yeah.
or
I
a
want a
morally
villain.
a morally gray woman? We have never had one of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Unless
you
they
know,
were like the chosen bad guys, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, correct. Or like, Nesta, she was probably our closest thing, but it was like she was depressed. So I wouldn't even say that she was morally gray. It was she
Yeah.
was just having her shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Like that's my point. Like why not do like a Bryce turns bad or Bryce dies and Rune becomes king? Again, change it up because it's like we really Reese is High Lord, but again, it's very much like, oh, me and Feyre rule together, which that's awesome. That works for that series.
Yeah.
I just felt like Crescent City took a turn of very like Throne of Glass and ACOTAR knockoff combined,
Hmm.
and it's like you're like literally you have like the comedic relief. Like I argue that Tharian is very much like Cassian and like the funny like do 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 do. Like you have all the same roles for people.
Hmm.
You have like the same group of people. You have like an inner circle in all of
Yeah.
them. So it's like you can almost make comparisons like Rowan, Reese, and Hunt are like the main big, strong, sexy men. You can argue that Aiden, right? That's his name, the cousin in Throne of Glass.
Adian.
Aiden, Cassian, and Tharian are like the right hand, like kind of funny, but like valiant
Hmm.
and honorable. Like you just have all the same story, just with different, very slight like names and like plot points, but it's all the same people essentially.
It's the same vibe.
But I just don't get why. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
it's fine that you're making them all like line up on top of each other, but I'm kind of like, yeah, you have a little crew in each one, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay. I feel like Throne of Glass and Akhtar were different enough that it was fine. But now with Crescent City, you should have done something completely different. Just
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
And
There.
she
Yeah.
didn't. She wrote the same characters, just with different like disguises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like honestly.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like all these Throne of Glass references in Crescent City 3, like there's no explanation of how they got from, the world of Throne of Glass to the world of Crescent City.
Right, like at least Akatar, there was a description and like they were fighting them and then they jumped over. So like,
Yeah.
how are we just
But
world
now
jumping?
Yeah, and now that's the thing, right? So it's like that really does leave a door open for her to write a book that could like describe that migration. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. So I think overall, I
If
think
she but if she tied it together to make it like all these things were happening at the same time, like layered dimensions, I think that could be cool. Like I think she might be able to redeem it.
I think she could do that, and I think that's fine. But you can just mention that and then be like, I don't need a whole book on it.
Jamie's like just mention it and move on.
Well, because Throne of Glass, aside for I didn't really love the black hole ending, just because I just didn't love it. But
Mhm.
aside for that, Throne of Glass was like good series, end cap, done, fine. So like leave it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, I think leave it in the sense because if you start doing it too much, you're going to ruin the integrity of the books.
Mhm.
Again, I think you left the integrity of ACOTAR. You could have done it cooler and still left the integrity, but fine. So I think
Mhm.
I like ACOTAR more just as the whole series because we didn't really even get multiverse in ACOTAR until Silver Flames.
Mhm.
So I do think I like ACOTAR better as a series. Just
Mhm.
to like round up like that thought I'm having. I do think it was fun and exciting to like make like parallels between the series. But I do think eventually if she keeps going, You know, I don't know. I'm just not gonna like it. Like, I don't know. And I think with Crescent City, I think again I started off book one really liking it, but then like as it went on, right, I felt like the sex scenes got sloppy. I felt like the character development got sloppy. The
Hmm.
plot got sloppy and similar. So I think overall ACOTAR is definitely still like my it beats Crescent City.
Yeah, well, Throne of Glass is still mine, but
Well, right. But I'm saying as the ones we covered. Yes, I'm aware that
yeah, I
yes.
would have to say probably Agatar as well. And that's the thing, like what how you were mentioning, like before, how the emotional connection was really strong in Akatar. Like you were feeling those emotions, you were in it. Like
Right.
I had very strong emotions while reading Akatar. I had very strong emotions reading the first Crescent City, even though I
Agreed.
had no
Agreed.
idea what was going on. Um, but like, yeah, the
And I
only real
think
emotion that I had in this book was with Rune and Lydia.
and
Really,
that was even like not as much as anything else cuz again,
no.
same thing. When there is nothing that beats the moment when you find out that Feyre and Reese are mates.
Hmm.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Fucking Rune and Lydia are mates, and I was like, I could give a fuck less,
Hmm.
actually.
We are
You just
mates.
announced it because everyone's just fucking announcing everything in this book,
We are mates, and we are
and
married.
we are mates, we are married. Okay, that's wonderful. You know, like I just felt like ACOTAR, yeah, like I was in it, you know, like I was eating it up. I
Yeah.
feel like Crescent City agreed. Book one, yes. I
Hmm.
think I got like, book two, not as invested. The ending was pretty crazy when you were like, oh shit, the Asteria are eating fucking people's magic. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was really it. And then book three, I didn't have any emotional reactions, literally pretty much whatsoever. I think maybe
I had
my
more
only
anger reactions.
Yeah. I think really my only reaction emotionally was when we found out Danica made it to like the afterlife and she waved. And again, because that's a real
Hmm.
feeling. Like I was happy that her friend was at rest and she will see her again. She was like, not yet, Brace. And that was like, that was a
Yeah.
beautiful moment. But again, it's because you gave me something different and something real.
Yeah.
Other than that, you repeated shit. It was sped up. It wasn't written well. The plot developed too quickly. I wasn't shocked by anything like we said, like the whole cave thing.
Hmm.
Oh my god, you wrote the caves in this book and then the caves 200 pages later are just like those caves. Well, yeah, cuz you just wrote them. So of course you can make that easy parallel. Like what are you
Hmm.
talking about? So I just felt like it was like lazy sloppy writing book 3 and I didn't have emotional reactions because it was lazy sloppy writing in my opinion.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, so I guess that'll bring a good leeway into what are we expecting from her next?
Yeah. Well, she's writing that new series eventually. That was
Yeah,
like confirmed, right?
I think so. So yeah, I don't even know what to think about that because I don't even know. I think someone said it like leans heavily on like Norse mythology, like
Yeah.
Viking type
Which would be
things.
cool. I love
Which,
Vikings.
yeah, me too. So if that's true, then that's awesome. What are we expecting from her? We know she's currently writing the next ACOTAR book.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think I saw a interview that confirmed that she is slotted, I think, for 5 more books
overall,
overall in regards to Akatar and Crescent City, I think. So I think people were saying, um, or
so
maybe
I
it's like
know for a
four.
fact, I know that she's
There's
doing another novella
yeah for Akatar,
and two more books.
and I think 2 more books for Akatar, like actual books, and then I think the other 1 or 2 is for Crescent City. But then at the end, someone was like, "Oh, what about Throne of Glass?" And she was like, "Oh, that's over, or is it?" You know, so it's like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard that they're well. So realistically, there's going to be another ACOTAR now, which will be Elaine.
hmm.
I don't know
I don't have
what.
high hopes for that book, honestly.
Okay, I disagree. So tell me yours first.
I just, I don't know. I just can't get out of my head that Elaine is a boring character, and I don't really know what she could contribute to the series.
So I'm actually the opposite, and I'm very excited for Elaine's book, which sounds weird because I feel the same way about Elaine that you do, which we always have agreed on.
Hmm.
I think I'm excited because again, if it's about Elaine, it'll be about Asriel by
Hmm.
extension.
That's
It'll be
like the
about
only
Lucian.
exciting part.
Well, right. It'll be about Lucian by extension. which
Mm,
means probably about Gwyn and Vasa and Tamlin, right? Like that kind of crew.
mm,
Probably also, what's his fucking face? Eris.
yeah.
So I feel like in my head, and I've
So is
talked
that
about
a book
this,
about Elaine or is it a book about everybody else but Elaine?
well,
You know, what is she gonna do with it? If the book is Elaine's book,
right.
is she gonna pull what she did in Crescent City and give everybody else, the fucking main play?
No, but kind of like how similarly it was like Feyre's book, but you knew what was going on with everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but I still felt with all of that, Pharaoh was still the main thing that everything was revolving around.
did you also feel that way for Nesta's book as well?
Yeah.
So, but I think that could work. Like, I think so Nesta's book was like between Nesta and Cassian, right? Like, you got his point of views as well.
Yeah.
So, if you do, for example, which I don't hate this part, my hope is that she will make it an Elaine book with an Asriel twist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of them ending up together, they end up with other people, and therefore you get more plot points. You know what I'm saying? So like in that case, you would have Feyre and Rhys as the main trilogy. Okay, fine. You then have the next sister and the next Bat Boy. They happen to end up together. Wonderful. Now this book, you have the last sister and the last Bat Boy, who I hope do not end up together, but you have both their point of views, and then you'd be able to cover Elaine, Asriel, Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
um, Lucian, because that's the mate, Eris, because it's Lucian's brother, and probably Tamlin. And you can have that whole revolving world while still only having the two point of views. And like I've talked about it past episodes, I think I talked about it maybe like Silver Flames. I think it's going to be a heavily like spring and fall like vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to that because number one, I think it'll be refreshing to get out of Valaris because I'm kind of like, okay, we did this, we're done. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Number one, get out of Valaris. Number two, I think it'll bring back that original Prithian magic from the first few books. Like you'll
I
get
hope
back
so.
into just like the world of Prithian and it won't be so much multiverse, whatever. So I'm actually really looking forward to it if it gives me that. I also would love just a little tidbit in that book to be like, again, not a main plot point, but to be like, holy fuck, the prison's healed. Oh my god, Cassian and Nesta are the Dust Court High Lord and Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Like, I would love it just to be like a simple thing.
But we don't know when it's taking place.
It's gonna be after this, because that's just gonna be how it is.
You think?
I think she's writing chronologically, yeah. And it's gonna make sense because we left off this book with Bryce giving Nesta the sword and saying, like, let's find out what this meant for you. So that's gonna be a plot point in the next book. I mean, it's just going to be.
Hmm. So then that's really another Nesta book.
No, I think it could be done like
Like,
again subtly.
what if the Elaine book is actually taking place while CC3 is taking place?
That's
And
also fine. Well, no,
it
because Azriel's a
ends
huge part of it.
Azrael's in it for 5 seconds when they're going in a cave.
Yeah, so I guess you can just say he's in the caves.
Yeah, so what if it ends into a leeway of like maybe Elaine finds her voice and then, Nesta's left with this sword and then the next book of ACOTAR will be that journey. So like Nesta has two books kind of thing.
Okay, so I don't hate that either. And you know what? That would honestly be a good place to do the little novella in between the two, and kind of bring it all back together.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, that's actually a good theory. Yeah, I guess. Okay, what? It's not what I expect. It's what I hope happens. Is I really want a fall and spring book. I really want Elaine to fuck shit up and like just date Tamlin. I think that'd be fucking amazing. Like again, I want like what I want for the
Just
next
I want
act.
chaos.
Yeah, for the next ACOTAR, exactly. I want the fucking run of the mill Prithian magic, no multiverse world hopping bullshit. Give me regular Fey magic and give me fucking chaos and drama and fucking sexy. I need like Reese and Feyre, Nesta Cassian sex, not whatever you were doing in Crescent City. I
You
don't
didn't
think
like the
SJ
teleporting sex?
I don't think SJM writes well in like a modern time frame. Like, oh, Bryce was wearing her gym sneakers, they're at the gym and they're having sex. I
The
think she
fucking
needs
pink sneakers of all things, the hot
right.
pink sneakers that's in every fucking scene that's always fucking mentioned. Oh, she's
Mhm.
still wearing her bright neon pink sneakers.
Yeah, like I just think I think she needs
Really?
like I think she needs the fantasy. I think that she lost some of that like romantic fantasy feel being in a
Mm-hmm.
modern era. And so I'm hoping by going back to ACOTAR and like Prithian, I'm hoping that she brings back the romance and the like lore and like the whimsical feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really hope. I don't know if I expect it,
Expectations are kind of low.
but I want that.
Um,
Like if you give me like a fucking book that, people like are joking about the title, like, A
oh
Court of
yeah.
Bloom and Decay. I'm like, I will eat that shit up. Like, give
Mm-hmm.
me a court of, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't give me no Crescent City. Anything with the word city in it, I don't want. I want fucking a court. Like, that makes me feel like medieval, fae, like fucking romance. Like, I need it back.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she can
Like the
deliver.
starlit pond and the fucking calamite. Like,
And
those
the
were
will-o
moments I felt,
wisps.
yeah, like I just felt I was like, oh my God, I want to like be here. The first time we saw Valaris. Like, yeah, I need it. Um, is she gonna do it? I don't know. She'll probably fucking fuck it up and I'll be really disappointed.
From
But
friend to foe.
I just think even like Silver Flames, it was good. The second read we liked it better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even that like was
Because I
starting to
think
be like,
you could appreciate it better. I think the second time around.
well, right, because it was leading toward the multiverse. But I think almost it'll be better that she, in theory, will just be writing a court of whatever, no multiverse, just writing a book. I think
Mm-hmm.
that she almost needs that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hate Silver Flames, but you
No.
could definitely tell I think we didn't like it the first time because it was starting to like lose that fantasy because she was really
Yeah.
leaning heavily into the multiverse. I
Mm,
need her to go back to like the beautiful descriptions,
yeah.
like the magical
The
scenes.
writing. Yeah.
I think she lost a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to be like whimsical when you're writing about a city.
Correct.
Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't find cities whimsical.
No, I agree. And that's what like I appreciate her trying to do something different, but it's almost like you changed the setting, but again, you left the characters the exact same and the plot. So
Yeah.
like if you were going to make it in a city, make the plot different.
Yeah.
You didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve. You just put us in a city and it was the same fucking people doing the same things essentially.
Oh,
So
lovely.
when do we expect this book? Do we know? Is there like a release date, speculation, anything?
I I would think probably sometime next year, later in the year.
In
I'm thinking
2025?
yeah, I'm thinking like fall or end of 2025
Okay. So we
because
will
I think
not.
she's really trying to build the suspense.
Fine.
Don't
And
keep us waiting too
honestly,
long.
well, and you know what? Honestly, maybe girlfriend take a little bit longer to write this time. That's okay. Cause yeah, we think we need it.
Fair.
We need more. We need
That's
more in the
crazy.
editing room. Thank
Just
you.
do what Rebecca Yarros does and AI your story. Come on.
Wait, we're gonna talk about that when we cover the books because that shit is so funny, guys. This is like not a real thing, and we're not like spreading fucking rumors, but we have like an ongoing joke, so whatever, it's fine.
No, but I think no, other people say it too.
Oh, that's hysterical then.
I've literally seen it before.
Okay, we'll
Someone
save
said,
this thought because we need to go into a deep dive on this. Like this is gonna be like a fucking like 20-minute point, which we will absolutely go over when we do Fourth Wing, which will be January. We're doing it in January, so
yeah.
yeah, amazing. Okay, and so let's end this conversation by never talking about SJM again until her next book comes out. And so let's recap personal feelings. How was it to start this podcast and do a deep dive on two of her three series?
um so doing a podcast is actually a lot more work, go figure. LOL. Than I think either of us thought.
Yeah.
But we're just girls, so it makes sense to us that we would have no idea how to do anything until we make an Instagram page and start saying that we're releasing in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks comes and you're like, oh shit, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. That was definitely
I didn't even
stressful.
know what anything was. Nothing.
No, we knew nothing. We literally thought you could just like record on like a podcast streaming site and then just upload it everywhere, but you can't do that.
like you can, but you can't. Like it's not that simple. Like
No, you need
in
like an RS. You
theory,
need the RSS thing, and then you have to pay for memberships for. Are we getting conned? You
right?
have to do
Yeah,
all your own editing. Editing's a bitch.
yeah,
Um,
because we're not rich, so we can't
no.
pay people to do this yet.
So LOL, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's very much fun. I think
It is very much fun.
so. My feeling is if I could do it over again, I would not have started with ACOTAR.
Like the podcast.
Yeah.
What?
I think not that it's against the books themselves, but I think in the bigger aspect of like audience, I think starting, another book podcast heavily on the whole ACOTAR SJM thing, like really is kind of like a turnoff to many people. Because a lot of
Fair.
people don't fucking like fantasy.
Right.
Like there's a lot of people that I know that read, they do not read fantasy, you know? So I
Right.
feel like
Right.
we've missed out on reaching a lot of people because we spent the past like 4 months talking about a fantasy series.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. So I think,
You know,
which just well, as we're speaking of this now, so we're doing Housemaid that will release next week, and then
Jamie's
the
like, "Don't
week
worry, we're doing
after.
more books."
What do you say?
I said, "Don't worry." Jamie's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I'm
"We're
like,
doing
hold
different books
on.
now."
Yeah, which we are. Um, we're doing Housemaid next week. It'll release, and then we're doing Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
Uh,
It'll be good.
no, well,
And then
just to
are we
preface,
doing
I'm a coho hater. If you tune in next week,
amazing?
not like against her personally, I just don't like her writing. To each their own.
Oh my god. And then did we definitely decide we're doing that other book after Ugly Love?
I mean, if you want, sure.
Yeah, why not? So then we're gonna do Hunting Adeline.
Okay.
I wanted to ask before I announced it. Yeah, I agree. I think this was like a lot to start a podcast with,
Mhm.
which is fine. Um, I think I'm excited and like reading Housemaid, we just finished. It was like I needed that. I needed to like love reading again. This was like a
Yeah.
lot. It was very intense.
I need quick
Um,
books.
yeah, so I'm excited to like get past this. I again love SJM. I just think like doing a deep dive, like it's really a lot of like saturation of her.
Well,
Um,
that's the thing too, and I feel like because all we were doing was talking about that series, it made me almost like revenge hate it. You know what I mean?
no, agreed. Agreed. So yeah, I'm excited to just do like thrillers and like love and romance, whatever.
Yeah, no
Like,
series, really, no series until next year. We will do a series a year, and we've reached our cap times two. So
yeah.
next year will be Fourth Wing.
Okay, but then we can't just do that the whole year.
No, that's the only series
Well, yeah,
because
that's
those are
it.
thick.
Yeah, I guess.
One
Oh,
series is
yes.
fine.
Okay, fair.
Or
Okay,
if you do a series, maybe not a fantasy series. You know what I mean?
agreed. But
Like,
like, really, is there any other series besides fantasy?
well, look at the fucking housemaid. She's got 3 books about this bitch.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a
Which
series.
we will probably eventually cover those
Trilogy.
books, but just not yet. We're doing one. That's it.
Yeah, my friend, she was like, "Oh, I have the second one. Do you want it?" I was like, "No,
I
not yet."
don't. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I think yeah, this was quite the experience. I feel like it helped us get in our like swing of podcasting, which is awesome. Um, I think it just like we got the spark to podcast because we talked about her so much. So I
Yeah.
feel like she served like that purpose really well of like we always theorized. We talked about
Hmm.
SJM constantly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this was like a great way to like organize our thoughts, like talk to you guys about it. But
Hmm.
that being said, I am excited to do more single things like Hallie just
Yeah.
said and also like hear from you guys more like what genres do you want? What's your favorite book? Like we'll just
Hmm.
do anything. And like you said, now for the non-fantasy readers. we could
Yeah.
be like normal humans,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And I think also too, it's interesting. Like once we get a more of a plethora of books from different genres, through our stats, we can see like what really like the people like to listen to. Which is a thing for us, not like for the viewer, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, agreed.
So, I mean, I think
Yeah,
ACOTAR served its purpose, like you said, for the inspiration, and then also like because we talked about so much, we knew it so well, so it's just easy to talk about. Um, but going step by step through the books definitely fucking crushed my soul,
for
and
sure.
talking
Yeah.
about this for 4 months straight really also crushed my soul.
Yeah,
So
agreed. And like we honestly didn't even do it as much as some other podcasts I've seen. They do like 5 chapters at a time. We would have died.
yeah, but that was like during the peak. Like I feel like the SJM thing is kind of it's not the peak anymore. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and I think that has to do with when the book came out, it was peak, and then
Yeah,
people read the book and were like, that was a dub.
yeah.
So we got caught in the dub phase, which is totally fine. I think the next book, but now we're ready for the next book. We're like, oh,
Mhm.
cool. When it comes out, we can just cover it. We can read it. It'll be great.
Well, that's the
Um,
thing, right? So it's like when like Twilight came out, it was like this whole big crazy thing, and then like it like lulled after a while, and then all of a sudden, I feel like Twilight has like been kicking up again. Like people are obsessed with Twilight right
yeah.
now. So I feel
Amen.
like maybe in 10 years from now, everyone's gonna listen back to the ACOTAR podcast and be like, "Oh my god,
Right.
this is so retro."
Oh, fuck. If you call me retro, I'll kill myself. um, jeez.
You're the
I'm
old
vin-
lady. You're getting
I'm
married.
vintage, right? Okay, so yeah, so
You're
I think
weathered.
this I am weathered. I think this deep dive was like great. It was fun. We're in our swing, but I'm pumped next week to talk about Housemaid, guys. We haven't really discussed what we think of it yet. So
Bro,
those books, single books, will just be a single episode.
I have so
So
many things to say.
yeah, so
But
I'm excited.
also because like thrillers also kind of rub me the
Oh,
wrong way
okay,
sometimes,
fair,
and like I just get annoyed by them.
which is totally fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right, guys. So we'll talk about that next week. Hallie's gonna tell us her impassioned thoughts as
I
per
think
usual.
yeah, I think as time goes on, my pessimistic attitude will really outshine everything.
Yeah, I mean, as it normally does. Which
Oh.
that
Bro,
makes
maybe
me
I'm just a
nervous
hater. I'm just a
for
hater. For what?
you might be. That makes me nervous for Colleen Hoover.
Oh, I'm gonna be brutal. I'm gonna be so brutal. I'm probably gonna have a warrant out for my arrest.
Oh,
I'm,
okay.
I'm
Well,
kidding.
so this is what you guys
Kidding.
have to look
Kidding.
forward to.
Kidding. What if I actually
Okay,
really like
friends.
ugly
And
though? That'd be
so,
crazy.
wow,
Nah.
you heard it here first. So if she does, she said it
Nah.
here.
I definitely won't because I've read excerpts from the book and I hated every single one I read. So
It's out of context, so you have no idea. Whatever.
whatever.
All right, friends.
All right.
And so this concludes our talk finally
Thank God.
on Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah. So happy to never talk about this bitch ever again.
Not true.
Well, that's whatever for the immediate future.
So Godspeed, Sarah.
We hope you enjoyed. We hope you've enjoyed this long journey of the SJM universe. I'm happy to be off the train. Jamie, I think she's also very happy to be off the train. And yeah, cheers to future standalone books of different genres.
Oh, all right, friends.
Anyways, yeah, I'm tired. All right, I've had enough. Thank you all for listening. Love you, Jamie.
We love you.
And we'll see you guys next week, where we will cover Housemaid by Frida McFadden.
We will see you then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.